The corner office on the 87th floor of Horizon Tower wasn't just a workspace, it was a monument to success. Mr. Pierce stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows, surveying the city below like a monarch overlooking his domain. The $8 billion empire he'd built from nothing had made him a legend in business circles, his name synonymous with innovation and ruthless efficiency. But power doesn't protect against everything. Mid-sentence during the most important board presentation of the quarter, it happened. One moment the CEO was confidently outlining the company's expansion strategy. The next, his words slurred, his vision blurred, and the polished marble floor rushed up to meet him. "Mr. Pierce, can you hear me?" The voices sounded distant, underwater. The boardroom dissolved into chaos as security cleared the room and medical personnel rushed in. 3 days later, in a private suite at the city's most exclusive hospital, the renowned Dr. Winters delivered the verdict. "The tests indicate a rare form of toxoplasmosis affecting your central nervous system," he explained, avoiding direct eye contact. "It's aggressive and has already caused significant inflammation in your brain tissue." The CEO's voice remained steady despite the tremor in his hands. "What's the treatment plan?" Dr. Winters' hesitation spoke volumes. "We've consulted with specialists worldwide. The particular strain appears resistant to standard treatments." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "We can try experimental protocols, but I must be honest, the prognosis is not favorable." "How unfavorable?" The question hung in the air. 3 months, 6 at most. In that moment, the man who commanded thousands of employees and influenced global markets became just another patient with a death sentence. My friends, welcome back to Mr. Ross' Story Trail. If you've ever wondered if there's more to healing than what modern medicine can offer, if ancient wisdom might hold answers that science has yet to discover, then this story will change your life. What you're about to witness is the extraordinary journey of a billionaire CEO, given just months to live by the country's top medical experts, and the unlikely healer who saved him when all hope seemed lost. Before we continue, take a second right now to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. This channel brings you true stories of transformation that the mainstream media won't cover, and I'd hate for you to miss any of these life-changing narratives. Your support allows us to keep finding and sharing these remarkable human experiences. Now, let me ask you this. What would you do if modern medicine gave up on you? Would you accept your fate, or would you seek answers elsewhere? For the man in our story, salvation came from the most unexpected source, a night cleaner with ancient knowledge passed down through generations. The journey you're about to witness spans worlds that rarely intersect. On one side, a man worth billions, surrounded by cutting-edge technology and the finest medical care money could buy, yet slipping away despite it all. On the other, a woman working through the night, carrying ancient wisdom that modern textbooks have forgotten. After the shocking diagnosis, the CEO's condition deteriorated rapidly. The experimental treatments only seemed to accelerate his decline. His once commanding frame withered, his mind, once sharp enough to outmaneuver any competitor, began to fade. The business world started preparing for his successor as he was moved to his penthouse for what doctors called comfort care, but fate had other plans. When conventional medicine reached its limits, healing appeared from an unexpected source. What began as a simple request for water evolved into something that would challenge medical understanding and transform 2 lives forever. How did a woman with no formal medical training accomplish what world-renowned specialists couldn't? How did a chance encounter during the darkest hour lead not just to physical recovery but to a connection that would bridge vastly different worlds? And when a billionaire CEO falls in love with the woman who saved his life, a night cleaner with wisdom beyond her station, how do they navigate a society determined to keep them apart? My friends, whether you're a longtime supporter of our channel or this is your first time joining us, welcome to Mr. Ross' Story Trail, where we uncover extraordinary true stories that remind us of life's most profound lessons. To my regular viewers, thank you for continuing this journey with me. Your comments and support fuel my passion for bringing these meaningful narratives to light. The story community we've built together is truly special. For those who've just discovered us, you've joined at the perfect moment. This channel is dedicated to stories that not only entertain but also enlighten. Tales that challenge our assumptions about wealth and poverty, power and wisdom, science and tradition. Today's account of unexpected healing and connection across social divides carries lessons we can all apply to our own lives. It reminds us that sometimes the most valuable knowledge comes from sources we've been taught to overlook. That healing, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, often arrives in forms we never anticipated. So settle in, open your heart and mind, and join me as we explore this remarkable journey from death's door to profound transformation. This is the kind of story that changes perspectives and perhaps even lives. Let's begin with the man who seemingly had everything, except time. Mr. Pierce wasn't born into wealth or connections. The son of a factory worker and a school secretary, he grew up in a modest neighborhood where luxury meant having cable TV. What he lacked in resources, however, he compensated for with relentless drive and uncommon intelligence. At 17, while his peers worried about prom dates, Mr. Pierce developed his first software application, a rudimentary inventory management system that caught the attention of a local business owner. By 19, he had dropped out of his state college computer science program, convinced that real-world experience would teach him more than academic theory. Education is valuable, he told an interviewer years later, but innovation doesn't wait for graduation ceremonies. The garage where Horizon Technologies began became part of corporate legend. With 3 second-hand computers and 2 equally ambitious friends, he launched what would become one of the most valuable companies in America. Their first breakthrough product, security software that worked exponentially faster than competitors, generated enough revenue to move operations into a proper office. "We slept under our desks for 2 years, recalled James Whitman, one of the original partners. Pierce worked the longest hours. He'd be coding when I fell asleep and still at it when I woke up. Sometimes I wondered if he slept at all." By 30, Mr. Pierce had bought out his partners and taken Horizon Technologies public in an IPO that made financial headlines. The market valued the company at $1.2 billion on its first day of trading. The garage programmer had become a billionaire. Acquisitions followed, strategic purchases of promising startups that expanded Horizon's technological reach. Mr. Pierce had an uncanny ability to identify innovations before they reached market awareness. Where others saw risky ventures, he recognized potential that could be integrated into Horizon's growing ecosystem. "He thinks 5 steps ahead of everyone else," noted tech analyst Miranda Chen. While competitors are solving today's problems, Pierce is addressing tomorrow's. By 40, his personal fortune exceeded $8 billion. The Horizon Tower dominated the city's skyline, 87 floors of gleaming glass and cutting-edge architecture housing over 4,000 employees. The company operated in 12 countries across 4 continents. Forbes, Fortune, and Bloomberg regularly featured him in their coverage of visionary business leaders. Mr. Pierce had achieved what most would consider the ultimate American success story. He had everything money could buy, except, as events would soon reveal, something money couldn't buy: time. Success exacted its price. Mr. Pierce's calendar operated in 15-minute increments, each slot maximized for productivity. His executive assistant managed a waiting list of people seeking meetings. Venture capitalists, potential partners, politicians, even celebrities, all requiring weeks or months to secure a brief audience. The difference between good and great is found in those extra hours, he often told new employees. This philosophy manifested in his personal schedule: 4:30 a.m. workouts with a former military trainer, breakfast meetings by 6:30, office work until 9 p.m., followed by business dinners or remote calls with international teams. Sleep became a reluctant necessity, limited to 5 hours nightly. Weekends meant catching up on industry reading and preparing for the week ahead. Vacations were brief interruptions spent checking email from exotic locations that served as backdrops for social media posts he rarely managed himself. His penthouse apartment featured museum-quality art selected by consultants, furniture chosen by designers, and a view most residents would stop to admire daily, yet he rarely noticed. The kitchen remained pristine, used primarily by the chef who prepared his protein-optimized meals. The human connections in his life existed predominantly within professional contexts. 2 brief marriages had dissolved under the weight of his absence. The second ex-wife told Vanity Fair, living with him was like living with a brilliant ghost, physically present occasionally, mentally elsewhere always. Former close friends drifted away, as their invitations were repeatedly declined or cut short by urgent business matters. His parents passed away within a year of each other, their funerals the only full days he took away from work in that period. By 42, Mr. Pierce had achieved extraordinary success by conventional metrics. Yet alone in his penthouse, surrounded by possessions selected by others, he occasionally acknowledged a hollow sensation he couldn't quite name. The thrill of closing deals had diminished to routine satisfaction. The excitement of product launches had become merely expected outcomes. He had everything, yet increasingly felt nothing. The first warning signs appeared during a quarterly investors' call. A momentary lapse, Mr. Pierce forgetting figures he'd reviewed minutes earlier. Attributing it to insufficient coffee, he recovered smoothly, but the incident left him unsettled. Soon after came the headaches, initially just a dull pressure behind his eyes after long meetings. Nothing unusual for someone who stared at screens 14 hours daily. He reasoned. Over-the-counter painkillers became a regular part of his routine, doses increasing gradually as weeks passed. "You're working too hard," his executive assistant commented after noticing him wincing during a presentation review. "Work is what built this company," he replied, swallowing 2 more tablets with his afternoon espresso. By month 2, the headaches intensified. Bright lights triggered shooting pain. Conference rooms with their harsh fluorescence became chambers of discomfort. He began wearing lightly tinted glasses indoors, explaining them away as digital eye protection when board members inquired. Sleep, already a scarce commodity, became further compromised. The pain often peaked at night, leaving him pacing his penthouse at 3 a.m., desperate for relief. His personal physician prescribed stronger painkillers, which dulled the agony but left his thoughts clouded, an unacceptable side effect for someone whose intellect was his primary asset. More concerning symptoms emerged. Occasional numbness in his right hand, brief moments where words escaped him mid-sentence, a persistent low-grade fever that medical tests couldn't explain. "You need rest," his doctor insisted. "Take a week off." Mr. Pierce compromised with a weekend at his lake house, which he spent reviewing acquisition proposals between bouts of increasingly severe headaches. When he stumbled during a morning meeting, catching himself against the conference table, his CFO insisted on medical intervention. Still, Mr. Pierce delayed, scheduling appointments but canceling when urgent business matters arose. Then came the board presentation, the collapse that could no longer be dismissed as overwork or stress, the incident that transformed the titan of industry into a patient facing mortality. The collapse triggered a comprehensive medical response befitting a man of Mr. Pierce's stature. He was rushed to the most prestigious hospital in the city, where a team of specialists waited. Blood tests, MRIs, spinal taps. The diagnostic arsenal of modern medicine was deployed in full. Dr. Winters, the neurologist who delivered the diagnosis, was considered the best in his field. His research on neurological disorders had earned international recognition. If anyone could identify and treat Mr. Pierce's condition, colleagues agreed it would be him. "The tests indicate a rare form of toxoplasmosis affecting your central nervous system," Dr. Winters explained during that first consultation. "It's aggressive and has already caused significant inflammation in your brain tissue." When Mr. Pierce inquired about treatment options, the doctor's hesitation revealed more than his words. "We've consulted with specialists worldwide. The particular strain appears resistant to standard treatments." Refusing to accept this verdict, Mr. Pierce leveraged his resources and connections. Specialists flew in from Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic, and international medical centers in Switzerland, Japan, and Israel. Second, third, and fourth opinions all reached the same conclusion. The infection was advancing rapidly, resistant to known treatments. The experimental protocols began immediately. Aggressive medication regimens, targeted radiation, even a trial immunotherapy approach developed at a research hospital in Germany. Each treatment brought side effects without improvement. Weight dropped from his already lean frame. Cognitive function declined noticeably. "The medications are causing nearly as much damage as the disease," admitted Dr. Winters during week 6. "We're essentially poisoning you in hopes of poisoning the infection faster." Board members visited less frequently as his lucidity decreased. The interim CEO appointment, initially described as temporary, took on permanence in press releases. Financial publications began publishing speculative pieces about succession plans at Horizon Technologies. After the 5th treatment protocol failed, medical consensus shifted from curative to palliative care. Mr. Pierce was moved to his penthouse, modified to accommodate hospital equipment and a rotation of private nurses. The medical team's focus changed from fighting the infection to managing pain and maintaining comfort. 3 months at most, Dr. Winters whispered to Mr. Pierce's sister in the hallway, unaware that his patient could still hear them from his bed. "We've exhausted every option." The man who had controlled every aspect of his life and business now found himself powerless against microscopic organisms multiplying in his brain. The corner office on the 87th floor continued operations without him. The empire he built carried on as its architect faded away. The titan had fallen, and yet, unknown to everyone involved, salvation waited in an unexpected form. About to enter his life wearing a cleaner's uniform, carrying wisdom modern medicine had forgotten. Isabella Reyes grew up in a coastal village in the Philippines where the rhythm of waves provided life's soundtrack. Unlike the gleaming towers of American cities, her childhood home was a modest structure of wood and corrugated metal, its simplicity belying the richness of life within. Her parents worked tirelessly, father as a fisherman, mother selling handcrafted goods to tourists. Yet financial security remained elusive. What the family lacked in material wealth, they compensated for in knowledge passed through generations. Isabella's grandmother, Lola Malaya, served as the village's unofficial healer. People came to her small home with ailments ranging from fevers to chronic pain, seeking remedies when modern medicine proved inaccessible or ineffective. "Watch closely, Isabella," Lola Malaya would say, as she prepared poultices from local plants or brewed medicinal teas. "These plants speak to those who listen. Their healing power has survived centuries because it works." From age 5, Isabella became her grandmother's shadow, learning which leaves reduced inflammation, which roots fought infection, and which flowers eased pain. More importantly, she absorbed her grandmother's philosophy that healing required treating the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. "Medicine treats the disease," Lola Malaya explained. "We treat the person." Despite limited resources, Isabella excelled academically. Her teachers recognized her potential and encouraged pursuit of higher education. By 16, she had set her sights on becoming a nurse, a path that would blend her grandmother's traditional knowledge with modern medical science. The opportunity came unexpectedly when her mother's cousin in America offered sponsorship. At 19, with $217 in savings and her grandmother's blessing, Isabella boarded a plane to begin a new chapter in the United States. "America will give you opportunities," her grandmother said during their tearful goodbye. "But never forget that your hands carry our ancestors' wisdom. That is your true inheritance." Lola Malaya's healing traditions weren't merely folk remedies. They represented generations of careful observation and practice. Isabella carried this knowledge to America not just in her memory, but in a worn leather journal filled with her grandmother's handwritten recipes and techniques. "The body speaks its own language," Lola had taught her. "Your hands must learn to listen." This philosophy guided techniques that went beyond simple herbal applications. Lola had trained Isabella in specialized massage methods that located and released blockages in the body's energy pathways. She knew precisely which points along the neck and spine could relieve headaches that conventional medications couldn't touch. "Western medicine looks at the body like a machine with separate parts," Lola explained. "Our tradition sees it as a flowing river. When the river is blocked, illness develops." The remedies themselves combined botanical knowledge with precise preparation methods. Timing mattered. Certain plants needed harvesting under specific moon phases to maximize potency. Some required slow drying in shade, others needed quick extraction in boiling water. One particular blend, combining lemongrass, eucalyptus, and rare mountain herbs, had earned Lola recognition even among skeptics. The family called it lunas, meaning healing in Tagalog. This potent anti-inflammatory oil had successfully treated conditions that baffled visiting medical missionaries. "This oil carries the spirit of our mountains," Lola told Isabella. "Use it with respect, and only with pure intention to heal." Before Isabella's departure, Lola performed a ceremony passing down her healing gift officially. She pressed her hands against Isabella's, transferring energy and intention in the traditional way. "Your hands now carry our ancestral knowledge," she said solemnly. "This gift brings responsibility. Use it to ease suffering wherever you find it." Isabella packed these oils and dried herbs carefully among her few possessions when leaving for America. Customs officials nearly confiscated them, but something in her earnest explanation convinced them to allow her this connection to home. In America, she discovered her grandmother's remedies filled gaps where Western medicine faltered, particularly for chronic pain, inflammation, and stress-related conditions. Fellow immigrants in her apartment building became her first American patients seeking relief when healthcare proved inaccessible or inadequate. Isabella's American dream faced immediate challenges. The nursing program she hoped to attend cost $45,000, an astronomical sum for someone earning minimum wage. Her relatives, while providing housing, faced their own financial struggles. The pressure to send money home to her family in the Philippines added further strain. Her routine became punishing. Mornings at the health food store from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., quick change into her cleaning uniform, office buildings until 10 p.m., then late nights studying until exhaustion claimed her. Weekends meant extra cleaning shifts and free ESL classes at the community center. "Sleep is something I'll do when I'm a nurse," she joked to her roommates, though the exhaustion lines around her eyes told a different story. 2 years into this relentless schedule, news from home complicated everything. Lola Malaya had suffered a stroke. The village healer now needed healing herself, and modern medical care in their remote area remained limited and expensive. "I'm coming home," Isabella told her mother. "No," came the firm reply. "Your grandmother forbids it. She says your path is there now." Instead, Isabella took on a third job, weekend catering work, sending every extra dollar home for her grandmother's care. Sleep reduced to 4 hours nightly, her own health began suffering. Dark circles became permanent features beneath her eyes, and her once vibrant energy dimmed. My friends, at this point in our story, Isabella stands at a crossroads many of us recognize, torn between dreams and duty, between the future she envisions and the responsibility she carries. How many of us have faced similar moments of sacrifice and difficult choices? If Isabella's determination touches something in your own life journey, take a moment now to hit that subscribe button. Your support allows us to continue bringing these powerful human stories that remind us of our shared struggles and triumphs. These real-life accounts of courage and perseverance are becoming increasingly rare in today's media landscape. By subscribing, you help ensure these meaningful narratives continue reaching those who need their messages of hope and resilience. With her grandmother's medical expenses mounting, Isabella made the difficult decision to postpone nursing school indefinitely. She withdrew her application and requested extra cleaning shifts, prioritizing immediate income over long-term goals. The health food store manager, noticing her exhaustion, offered a solution. "My brother manages cleaning services for several corporate buildings," he said. "The overnight shifts pay more, especially in the financial district. It's harder to find reliable people for those hours." The prospect of higher pay outweighed the disruption to her already chaotic sleep schedule. Isabella applied immediately. The Horizon Tower dominated the city skyline, 87 floors of glass and steel housing one of the country's most valuable companies. For employees and executives, the building represented ambition and achievement. For Isabella, it became simply another workplace, albeit one that paid $3 more per hour than her previous cleaning assignments. Her orientation included strict protocols unique to high-security corporate environments. Certain floors required special clearance. Executive areas demanded additional confidentiality agreements. Cleaning staff were to remain invisible, performing their duties efficiently without disrupting the corporate environment. "Remember," her supervisor emphasized, "most people in this building will look through you, not at you. That's how they prefer it." Isabella joined a team predominantly composed of immigrants, men and women from Mexico, Haiti, Eastern Europe, and Asia, all working through the night while the corporate world slept. They moved through executive suites and conference rooms, emptying waste bins containing confidential documents, wiping away coffee rings left by decisions worth millions. Her assigned floors included the executive level, where decisions affecting global markets occurred daily. Isabella quickly earned a reputation for thoroughness and efficiency. When a colleague called in sick, she willingly took additional areas, including the private elevator lobby leading to the penthouse. For 7 years, Isabella maintained this schedule. The health food store job eventually gave way to weekend nursing assistant work at a retirement home, not the medical career she'd envisioned, but at least adjacent to her dream field. Her English improved, her modest savings grew, and her grandmother's medical care continued. Then came the notice that changed everything. "We need a volunteer for a special assignment," her supervisor announced during their pre-shift meeting. "The CEO's penthouse requires cleaning services. His regular staff is unavailable due to personal matters." The assignment carried a significant bonus, money that could cover her grandmother's recently prescribed medication for 3 months. Several colleagues raised their hands, but the supervisor's gaze settled on Isabella. "Your attention to detail makes you the best candidate," he said. "The situation is sensitive. The CEO is unwell." Isabella nodded, unaware that this routine assignment would alter the trajectory of her life. The path from her village to this moment, her grandmother's teachings, her postponed dreams, her years of invisible labor, had prepared her for an encounter that defied medical explanation. That night she would meet the dying CEO, setting in motion events that would challenge the boundaries between worlds, between ancient wisdom and modern science, between healer and patient. Little did she know that beyond those penthouse doors waited not just another cleaning assignment, but a destiny her grandmother had perhaps foreseen all along. The private elevator ascended silently to the penthouse level. Isabella reviewed the special instructions provided by her supervisor: minimal noise, no chemical cleaning agents due to the CEO's sensitivity, and strict adherence to medical equipment protocols. The nurse on duty would direct her regarding which areas could be accessed. The contrast struck her immediately. The penthouse occupied the entire top floor of Horizon Tower, a space designed for power and luxury now transformed into a medical facility. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a 360-degree view of the city, yet privacy glass prevented the outside world from looking in. Italian marble floors accommodated hospital equipment. Designer furniture shared space with medical monitors and IV stands. A nurse dozed in a recliner near the bedroom doorway, medical charts clutched loosely in her lap. The soft beeping of monitoring equipment provided a steady rhythm in the otherwise silent space. Isabella moved quietly, beginning her work in the kitchen area. Everything gleamed already, barely used appliances, untouched cookware. She wondered how someone could own such beautiful cooking equipment, yet apparently never use it. As she emptied small waste bins containing medicine packaging and discarded medical supplies, she noticed framed magazine covers featuring the CEO. The contrast between the commanding figure in those photos and the reports of the gravely ill man in the next room created a strange dissonance. Moving to the living area, she dusted surfaces meticulously, noting the absence of personal photographs. The space felt more like a model home than a residence, professionally decorated but lacking any evidence of life's intimate moments. No family pictures, no mementos, no books beyond business publications. Her cart bumped slightly against a side table, creating a small noise that seemed magnified in the quiet space. Isabella froze, glancing toward the nurse who shifted but didn't wake. Continuing more carefully, she made her way toward the bedroom entrance to collect the wastebasket there. Water. The whispered request was so faint, she almost missed it. Isabella hesitated, looking toward the sleeping nurse. Professional boundaries were clear. Cleaning staff did not interact with clients, especially in medical situations. Yet the voice had sounded desperate. Please. Water. Abandoning her cart, Isabella stepped cautiously into the bedroom doorway. Medical equipment created a technological cocoon around the bed, where a figure lay beneath light blankets. In the dim light, she could make out the CEO's face. Hollowed cheeks, pale skin, but eyes open and alert. The nurse, he whispered, gesturing weakly. She's asleep, Isabella replied softly. I can wake her. No, just water, please. Isabella hesitated, then nodded. She went to the bathroom, found a clean glass, and filled it with filtered water from the refrigerator. Returning to the bedroom, she approached the bed cautiously. Up close, the CEO's condition shocked her. The powerful figure from magazine covers had diminished dramatically. His face was gaunt, his expensive pajamas hanging loosely on his frame. Most striking were his eyes, still sharp and observant despite his physical decline. She helped him raise his head slightly to drink, supporting his shoulders with gentle confidence born from caring for her grandmother. Thank you, he said, his voice stronger after the water. You're new. I'm just the cleaner, she explained quietly, glancing toward the still sleeping nurse. Nobody is just anything, he replied, studying her face. I'm Mr. Pierce, Isabella. He attempted to shift position, wincing suddenly as pain visibly crossed his features. His hand went to his temple, pressing against it as if trying to physically hold back the pain. Another headache? She asked, professional distance momentarily forgotten. They never really stop, he admitted. Just vary in intensity. Isabella nodded, recognizing the particular way he massaged his temple, the same motion her grandmother made when dealing with nerve inflammation. In that moment, standing beside the bed of one of America's wealthiest men, Isabella made a decision that would alter both their lives forever. Isabella glanced at the sleeping nurse, then back to the CEO. Professional boundaries existed for good reasons. She was hired to clean floors, not treat patients, especially not billionaire patients with teams of specialists. Yet something in his expression, the resigned acceptance of constant pain, resonated with her. How many villagers had come to her grandmother with that same look after modern medicine had failed them? I notice how you're pressing your temple, she said quietly. My grandmother taught me techniques that sometimes help with headaches, similar to acupressure, but with specific movements. Mr. Pierce looked at her with a mixture of doubt and desperate hope. I have medication, he replied, gesturing weakly toward a collection of pill bottles on the bedside table. Does it work? She asked simply. His slight headshake provided an answer enough. I shouldn't have said anything, she backtracked, suddenly aware of how inappropriate her suggestion might seem. I'm just here to clean. I'll let you rest. She turned to leave, but his voice stopped her. Wait. The word carried authority despite his weakened state. What kind of technique? Isabella turned back, choosing words carefully. In my culture, we believe certain types of pain come from blocked energy. My grandmother was a healer in our village. She taught me pressure points and massage methods that can sometimes relieve pain when medications fail. She watched skepticism cross his face, the expected reaction from someone whose world revolved around cutting-edge technology and science. You're suggesting alternative medicine? He asked. I'm not suggesting anything, sir, she replied respectfully. I apologize for overstepping. Mr. Pierce studied her for a long moment. The monitors beside his bed showed elevated heart rate and blood pressure, indicators of his constant pain. At this point, he finally said, I have little to lose. The simple admission from such a powerful man carried profound weight. Here was someone who had accessed the finest medical care money could buy, now turning to a cleaning woman out of sheer desperation. I know something that might help with the pain, she said cautiously, if you would permit me. He nodded slightly. then added with unexpected vulnerability, "Please." Isabella set her cleaning supplies aside and moved closer to the bed. "I'll need to touch your face and neck. If anything feels uncomfortable, tell me to stop immediately." After washing her hands, she returned to his bedside. "Close your eyes and try to relax. Focus on your breathing." Isabella carried small essential oil bottles in her uniform pocket, a habit from years of treating fellow immigrants in her apartment building. She removed vials of lemongrass and eucalyptus oil, warming a few drops between her palms. "There will be a scent," she explained softly. "It helps open pathways." The fragrance filled the space around them, clean, medicinal, yet organic in a way that contrasted with the antiseptic hospital smell. She began with gentle contact at his temples, her fingers barely touching his skin. Rather than applying immediate pressure, she held the position, tuning into the subtle vibration beneath her fingertips, a technique her grandmother called listening with the hands. "Your pain is deep," she murmured. "Not just in the tissue, but in the energy pathways." Mr. Pierce kept his eyes closed, neither confirming nor denying her assessment. Isabella's fingers moved with practiced precision to specific points, the junction where the neck meets the skull, the hollow behind the ears, the almost invisible depression at the center of the forehead. At each point she applied gentle but firm pressure in a pulsing rhythm. The CEO's breathing gradually shifted, becoming deeper and more regular. The tension in his facial muscles, a constant companion to chronic pain, began to ease subtly. "There's a blockage here," she said, her fingers finding a point along his jawline. "And another here." Her thumb pressed gently at the base of his skull. Working with focused intention, Isabella incorporated techniques from multiple traditions her grandmother had mastered. Filipino healing touch, Chinese pressure points, and intuitive energy work that defied simple categorization. After 15 minutes, she began the second phase, gentle massage along the meridian lines extending from head to shoulders. Her movements followed ancient patterns designed to encourage energy flow through blocked channels. "Try to visualize the pain as dark water," she instructed quietly. "Now imagine it draining away, replaced by golden light." To her surprise, Mr. Pierce followed her instructions without skepticism, his breathing synchronizing with her rhythmic movements. The monitors beside the bed registered changes, lowered heart rate, decreased blood pressure, improved oxygen levels. Small shifts, but significant for someone whose readings had remained stubbornly problematic. After 30 minutes, Isabella stepped back. "That's enough for now. Too much at once can sometimes cause dizziness." Mr. Pierce opened his eyes slowly, blinking as if awakening from deep meditation. The change in his expression was subtle but unmistakable. The pinched look of constant pain had eased. "The pressure," he said with quiet amazement. "It's different, not gone, but muted." Isabella nodded, recognizing the typical response. "The relief might be temporary at first. The body needs to remember its balanced state." "What did you do?" he asked, scientific curiosity emerging through the fog of relief. "I helped your body remember how to heal itself," she replied simply. "The oils support the process, but the real change comes from releasing energy blockages." For the first time in months, Mr. Pierce experienced moments without overwhelming pain. The constant hammer in his skull had subsided to a manageable pressure, not eliminated but reduced enough to allow clear thought. "Thank you," he said, the words carrying unusual weight from a man unaccustomed to needing help. The nurse stirred in her chair outside the door. Isabella quickly returned to her cleaning cart, resuming her official role. "I should finish my work," she said quietly. "Rest now." The next evening, Isabella arrived for her regular cleaning shift at the penthouse. She expected nothing had changed, that the brief interaction would remain an isolated incident, perhaps already forgotten by the CEO whose world differed so dramatically from hers. The nurse on duty, different from the previous night, greeted her with unexpected information. Mr. Pierce asked if the same cleaner would be returning tonight. Isabella felt a mixture of concern and validation. "Is something wrong?" "Quite the opposite. He said you did an excellent job and requested you specifically." When she entered the bedroom area to collect trash, Mr. Pierce was awake, propped slightly higher on his pillows than the night before. Though still obviously ill, his eyes tracked her movement with greater alertness. "You came back," he said simply. "It's my assigned section this week," she replied professionally. He glanced toward the nurse, who was occupied with medication preparation across the room. "The treatment you provided yesterday," he said quietly. "I had 3 hours without severe pain afterward. Nothing has accomplished that in weeks." Isabella maintained a neutral expression, mindful of professional boundaries. "I'm glad you found some relief. Could you do it again?" His question carried both authority and vulnerability. a man accustomed to command now reduced to requesting help from someone he would have previously overlooked. She hesitated, weighing potential consequences. Alternative treatments weren't prohibited, but performing them certainly exceeded her role as cleaning staff. "The nurse," she began. "Take a break at 11:30, he finished. 15 minutes, she's consistent." The calculation in his request revealed something of the strategic mind that had built a corporate empire. Even in illness, he observed patterns and planned accordingly. Isabella found herself nodding despite her reservations. "I'll bring something stronger tonight. A special oil my grandmother prepared for deep inflammation." For the next week, a routine developed. Isabella would complete her cleaning duties efficiently, waiting for the nurse's predictable break. In those 15 minutes, she would administer increasingly comprehensive treatments, pressure point therapy, specialized massage techniques, and applications of her grandmother's most potent remedies. Each night she introduced new elements from her grandmother's teachings: herbal compresses for his swollen lymph nodes, specific breathing techniques to increase oxygen absorption, visualization exercises to support the immune system. "My grandmother believed healing happens on multiple levels simultaneously," she explained while applying a special poultice: physical, energetic, emotional. "Modern medicine focuses primarily on the physical." "And the others?" he asked, his analytical mind engaged despite his condition. "Energy pathways connect everything in the body. When they're blocked, physical symptoms appear. Emotional patterns can create or reinforce these blockages." He absorbed this information without dismissing it, a significant shift for someone whose world revolved around measurable data and proven science. By the 8th night, their brief treatment sessions extended slightly as the night nurse began taking longer breaks. Isabella prepared special tea from herbs carried from her homeland, brewing it in the kitchen while the penthouse remained temporarily unmonitored. "This supports your immune system," she explained, helping him sip the bitter liquid. The CEO never mentioned their sessions to his medical team or day staff. Isabella similarly kept their arrangement private, aware that crossing professional boundaries could cost her job. Yet something profound was happening, not just physically but in the unusual connection forming between them. 2 weeks into their clandestine healing sessions, Mr. Pierce's medical team noticed unexpected changes. During a routine examination, Dr. Winters found reduced inflammation in previously problematic areas. Blood markers showed subtle improvement in immune response. "This is unexpected," the doctor commented, reviewing the latest results. "The experimental protocol must be having delayed effects." Mr. Pierce said nothing about Isabella's treatments, intuitively understanding that conventional medical practitioners might prohibit them despite the apparent benefits. The improvements were modest but significant, especially for a condition that had shown relentless progression. Mr. Pierce could sit up without assistance for longer periods. The frequency of severe headaches decreased from constant to intermittent. Cognitive function stabilized rather than continuing its decline. "What changed in your care routine?" Dr. Winters asked during his 3rd visit, noting improvement. "Nothing significant," Mr. Pierce replied. "Perhaps my body is finally responding to earlier treatments." The doctor seemed skeptical but had no alternative explanation. "We'll continue monitoring these encouraging signs, though I must caution against excessive optimism. We've seen temporary plateaus in similar cases." After the medical team departed, Mr. Pierce managed something he hadn't in months: a genuine smile. "They're completely baffled," he told Isabella during that night session. She worked methodically on the lymphatic drainage points along his neck. The body knows how to heal when given proper support. Modern medicine sometimes focuses so much on fighting disease that it forgets to strengthen the person. "Why isn't this knowledge more widely accepted?" he asked, his business mind considering implications. "Some things can't be patented or mass-produced," she replied simply. "And healing traditions passed through families don't generate research funding or pharmaceutical profits." The observation carried no bitterness, just matter-of-fact understanding of systems and priorities, an insight that resonated with his own experience in corporate strategy. By the 3rd week, Mr. Pierce could walk short distances unassisted. His appetite returned gradually, addressing the dangerous weight loss that had concerned his doctors. Most significantly, the cognitive fog that had frightened him more than physical symptoms began to lift. "They called it a miracle," he told Isabella, referring to his medical team's latest assessment. Said they've never seen this pattern of recovery in similar cases. Isabella smiled slightly as she prepared a fresh herbal compress. Not a miracle, just ancient wisdom meeting someone ready to receive it. The comment reflected something fundamental about their unlikely connection. Unlike many wealthy patients her grandmother had treated in the Philippines, those who demanded immediate results while ignoring lifestyle guidance, Mr. Pierce followed her instructions with disciplined precision. He practiced the breathing techniques between her visits, consumed only the food she suggested, and maintained the positive visualization exercises even when they seemed foreign to his analytical nature. Their unspoken agreement continued. He never revealed the source of his improvement to doctors, and she never disclosed their sessions to her supervisors. Yet as his strength increased, both recognized an unavoidable truth. The boundaries between patient and healer, employer and employee, had fundamentally blurred. Something transformative had occurred in those quiet nighttime sessions, something neither medical science nor corporate hierarchy could easily categorize or control. My friends, what's unfolding in this story represents something profound about healing and human connection. Have you ever noticed how the most significant growth often happens during our most challenging moments? When we're stripped of our usual defenses and forced to depend on others? As we continue with Mr. Pierce and Isabella's remarkable journey, I invite you to consider what this might mean in your own life. Are there wisdom traditions you've overlooked? Healers you've passed by without noticing? If this story resonates with you, if you believe in the power of unexpected connections and ancient wisdom, take a moment now to subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue sharing these powerful narratives that challenge conventional thinking about health, wealth, and what truly matters. By joining our community, you help preserve these important stories that might otherwise be lost in today's fast-moving digital landscape. Hit that subscribe button now to ensure you never miss our weekly uploads of extraordinary true stories. 1 month into their unconventional healing partnership, Isabella arrived at the penthouse with a small cloth bag containing special ingredients from a Filipino market in the city's international district. The trip had required a 2-hour bus journey after her morning shift, but she considered it essential for the next phase of treatment. These roots are difficult to find in America, she explained, laying out gnarled specimens on the kitchen counter. My grandmother used them for patients with neurological inflammation. Mr. Pierce watched from a nearby chair, his improved mobility now allowing him to move between rooms with minimal assistance. Your grandmother seems to have had remedies for everything. Isabella smiled as she began preparing the roots. Not everything, but she understood the connections most doctors miss. For example, these roots target inflammation while also supporting liver function. Western medicine might use separate medications for each. The contrast between ancient healing techniques and the penthouse's ultra-modern kitchen created a visual representation of their unlikely partnership. Isabella ground herbs using a stone mortar and pestle brought from home, while high-tech medical equipment beeped softly in the adjacent room. Today we begin internal and external treatment simultaneously, she explained. The tea addresses inflammation from within. The compress works from outside. Their sessions had expanded beyond the nurse's brief breaks. Mr. Pierce had adjusted the nursing schedule to create a 2-hour gap each evening, officially for private rest time, providing Isabella uninterrupted access for more comprehensive treatments. As she prepared the remedies, she noticed Mr. Pierce studying her with analytical attention, the same focus likely applied to business acquisitions and market strategies throughout his career. "You've never asked how much I charge," she observed, meeting his gaze directly. "Do you want payment?" he countered. She shook her head. "That's not why I mentioned it. I'm curious why you haven't offered. Men in your position usually establish transaction terms immediately." Mr. Pierce considered this. "Perhaps because this doesn't feel like a transaction, and perhaps because I sense you would refuse." Isabella nodded, returning to her preparation. His perception revealed growing awareness beyond the typical billionaire mindset where everything and everyone had a price. The healing regimen Isabella developed integrated her grandmother's traditional knowledge with Mr. Pierce's ongoing medical care. Rather than rejecting conventional treatments, she worked alongside them, adjusting her remedies to complement his medication schedule and enhance their effectiveness. "Western medicine excels at intervention," she explained while applying a warm compress to his lymph nodes. "Traditional healing excels at prevention and recovery. Combined, they're more powerful than either alone." She developed a systematic approach, beginning each session by reviewing his medical charts to understand recent developments. Blood test results guided her selection of immune-supporting herbs. Inflammation markers inform which anti-inflammatory compounds to emphasize. Medication side effects determine which protective formulas to prepare. "Your white blood cell count improved, but liver enzymes are elevated from the medications," she noted, studying recent lab work. "Today, we'll focus on liver support while continuing neural inflammation reduction." Mr. Pierce, whose analytical mind appreciated structured approaches, began maintaining a detailed journal tracking correlations between traditional treatments and medical test results. The document revealed patterns neither approach might have identified independently. "The pharmaceutical anti-inflammatories work better when taken 2 hours after your herbal tea," he observed, showing her his meticulous tracking spreadsheet. and my cognitive function improves most significantly following the meridian massage. Isabella adjusted treatments based on these observations. This is how healing traditions evolved over generations. Careful observation and adaptation. The nurses and doctors remained unaware of the complementary treatments, though some noticed timing patterns in Mr. Pierce's improvement. Dr. Winters commented that his best results seemed to occur in the evening hours, precisely when Isabella's treatments took place. Their collaborative approach extended to nutritional support. Isabella prepared special broths using ingredients rarely found in American diets: bitter melon for blood sugar regulation, specific mushroom varieties for immune modulation, and particular seaweeds for detoxification. These broths replaced the bland hospital meals previously delivered. "Food is medicine," she explained, watching him consume a steaming bowl of carefully prepared soup. Each ingredient serves a healing purpose. The holistic approach addressed multiple systems simultaneously: circulatory, lymphatic, neural, digestive, creating synergistic effects that accelerated recovery beyond what either tradition might have accomplished alone. Most importantly, Isabella treated Mr. Pierce as an active participant rather than passive recipient. She explained each remedy's purpose, taught him self-administered acupressure techniques for between sessions, and listened to his observations about what helped most. "My grandmother believed the patient's engagement was essential to healing," she told him. "Your body knows what it needs. My role is helping you listen to it." As physical treatments progressed, conversations deepened. Their initial caution, his as employer, hers as employee, gradually yielded to genuine curiosity about each other's vastly different worlds. During Isabella's 5th week of treatments, as she applied a specialized massage technique to release tension in his shoulder muscles, Mr. Pierce asked an unexpected question. "What made you leave the Philippines?" She continued working, her hands never losing their rhythm. "Opportunity, education, the same reasons most immigrants come to America." "That's the general answer," he noted. "I'm asking for your specific one." Isabella met his gaze. "My village had one doctor who visited monthly. People died from treatable conditions while waiting. I wanted to combine my grandmother's knowledge with modern nursing, to bridge worlds like we're doing with your treatment." The personal revelation shifted something between them. Mr. Pierce began sharing his own story, not the polished narrative from magazine profiles, but honest reflections on his journey from middle-class beginnings to extreme wealth. "Success isolated me," he admitted during a subsequent session. "Each achievement created greater distance between myself and others. Eventually, relationships became transactions. Everything had ROI calculations attached. As physical barriers diminished through the intimate nature of healing work, emotional walls lowered as well." Isabella shared her struggles adapting to American culture, the postponement of her education to support her grandmother, and her continued devotion to healing despite professional setbacks. Mr. Pierce revealed his regrets regarding failed marriages, distant family relationships, and the gradual hollowing of purpose as wealth accumulated. "The last time I felt genuine excitement was installing my company's first server," he confessed. "Everything since has been pursuing diminishing returns of satisfaction." Their conversations often continued after treatments concluded, extending into discussions about cultural differences, philosophical perspectives, and contrasting values. Despite vast differences in circumstance, they discovered unexpected commonalities. Both valued competence over credentials. Both navigated between cultural worlds. Both questioned conventional wisdom in their respective fields. "Your grandmother taught you to see patterns across seemingly unrelated symptoms," Mr. Pierce observed. "That's remarkably similar to how I analyzed market trends, finding connections others missed." Isabella nodded. "Perhaps healing and business leadership aren't as different as they appear. Both require seeing beyond obvious surfaces." As weeks passed, their relationship developed its own unique character, neither strictly professional nor conventionally personal, but something that honored both their formal roles and their growing human connection. 6 weeks into their healing partnership, medical tests confirmed what subjective experience had already indicated. Mr. Pierce was recovering. Brain scans showed significantly reduced inflammation. Blood work demonstrated improved immune function. Weight returned to his frame, and muscle tone began redeveloping through the gentle movement exercises Isabella incorporated into treatments. "I'm calling it a spontaneous remission," Dr. Winters told him during a particularly positive checkup. "It's rare but documented in medical literature. Your body has somehow mounted an effective response despite initial treatment failures." Mr. Pierce nodded, accepting the explanation without offering alternative insights. The medical establishment had its necessary narratives, just as the business world maintained its own. Beyond physical improvements, a profound internal transformation occurred. The brush with mortality combined with Isabella's holistic approach catalyzed what could only be described as spiritual awakening. though Mr. Pierce, with his lifelong aversion to religious terminology, would have rejected such characterization. "I've been considering what constitutes actual value," he told Isabella during an evening stroll through the penthouse, his first without physical support. "Most of what I've pursued created numerical wealth but experiential poverty." Isabella arranged cushions on the balcony, where they now often sat after treatments, enjoying fresh air that had previously been too taxing for his weakened system. "My grandmother would say you're discovering the difference between having and being," she replied. The meditative practices Isabella introduced, initially presented as stress reduction techniques to support immune function, became daily rituals that altered his perception. Morning breathing exercises evolved from mechanical health maintenance to contemplative practice. Evening gratitude reflection, initially awkward for someone unaccustomed to acknowledging dependence, became meaningful centering. "I find myself noticing things I previously overlooked," he admitted. "The changing light through these windows, the particular silence before dawn, the remarkable fact of breathing without thinking about it." Isabella recognized the shift, the same awakening she had witnessed in critically ill patients who recovered. Proximity to death often revealed life's actual priorities with startling clarity. "When we face our mortality," she observed, "we often discover our morality, what truly matters beyond achievement and acquisition." The philosophical discussions that followed revealed Mr. Pierce's evolving perspective. The ruthlessly efficient CEO began questioning metrics of success that had guided his career. The technological innovator contemplated human needs his products had never addressed. The wealth accumulator considered purposes beyond financial growth. As Mr. Pierce regained physical capacity, Isabella's influence extended beyond medical recovery to fundamental reconsideration of values and priorities. Their ongoing conversations challenged assumptions that had guided his adult life. "In your culture," he asked during an evening tea ritual that had become habitual, "how is success measured?" Isabella considered the question while pouring steaming liquid into simple ceramic cups, one she had brought from home to replace the penthouse's unused fine china. "My grandmother would say a successful person ensures those around them have enough before accumulating excess," she replied, "and that true wealth lies in being needed rather than being important." Such perspectives contradicted everything Mr. Pierce had absorbed through his business career, yet increasingly resonated with his evolving awareness. He began examining his company's practices through this alternative lens, questioning not just their profitability but their human impact. "I've created technology that connects devices efficiently," he reflected, while personally experiencing profound disconnection from people. Isabella's presence offered living examples of priorities he had long dismissed, choosing meaningful work over status, maintaining cultural roots while adapting to new environments, finding contentment amid material simplicity. Her approach to resources particularly challenged him. Despite working multiple jobs, she shared her limited means generously, sending money to family, bringing homemade food to fellow cleaning staff, volunteering at community health fairs on rare days off. "You give away what most would consider you can't afford to," he observed, "yet never seem to lack what's essential." "In my village, we have a saying," she replied. "The closed hand cannot receive. What circulates returns multiplied." These conversations gradually influenced concrete decisions. During his 8th week of recovery, Mr. Pierce began reviewing Horizon Technologies' operations with fresh consideration. He questioned overseas manufacturing practices his board had approved for cost efficiency despite human costs. He reconsidered product development priorities that addressed wealthy markets while ignoring broader human needs. "My illness revealed something critical about business perspectives," he told Isabella. "We optimize for numerical targets while missing immeasurable impacts. We track financial health while ignoring human well-being, including our own." Isabella recognized the transformation occurring, not just physical healing but fundamental realignment of values. The experience reflected her grandmother's deepest teaching. True healing addressed root causes rather than surface symptoms, whether in individuals or systems they created. "When we heal," she had often heard her grandmother say, "we don't return to who we were before illness. We become who we were always meant to be." The man emerging from life-threatening illness differed fundamentally from the CEO who had collapsed in the boardroom. Physical recovery enabled his return to professional life, but with a dramatically shifted perspective on its meaning and purpose. As his strength returned more fully, both recognized their relationship as an inevitable transition. The official premise for their nightly meetings, medical necessity, would soon no longer apply. Yet the connection formed through vulnerability, shared wisdom, and mutual recognition transcended its original context. What began as desperate patients seeking relief from cleaners with traditional knowledge had evolved into something neither corporate hierarchy nor cultural convention easily categorized, something that would soon challenge both their worlds in unexpected ways. 3 months after doctors had given Mr. Pierce a terminal prognosis, Dr. Winters stood speechless before the latest brain scans. Where aggressive inflammation had once threatened vital functions, normal tissue patterns now appeared. Blood work showed no trace of the rare toxoplasmosis that had been deemed untreatable. "I've consulted with colleagues at Johns Hopkins and Mayo Clinic," Dr. Winters finally said, removing his glasses to clean them, a nervous habit when confronted with the unexplainable. "None of us can identify the mechanism behind your recovery." Mr. Pierce sat fully dressed in business attire rather than hospital garments, his posture erect, his gaze clear and focused. "Perhaps some questions don't require answers, Doctor. Just appreciation." The medical team convened a final assessment meeting, documenting what they termed a spontaneous remission of unprecedented nature. Scientific journals would later publish case studies analyzing potential factors: delayed medication response, unidentified immune reaction, or simply statistical anomaly. None considered the night cleaner whose hands had channeled generations of healing wisdom into dying tissue. Mr. Pierce's return to Horizon Technologies was carefully choreographed. Initial video conferences from the penthouse reintroduced him to operations. Limited in-person meetings followed. His executive team prepared markets and media for his full return, with strategic communications emphasizing his complete recovery. His first day back at corporate headquarters became a company legend. Employees lined hallways, applauding spontaneously as he walked to the executive floor. The stock market responded with an 8% surge in Horizon's share price. Business publications heralded the resurrection of a technological visionary. That evening, when Isabella arrived at the penthouse for her regular cleaning shift, she found Mr. Pierce waiting with a pot of ginger tea, her own remedy now prepared by his hands. "How did it feel?" she asked, accepting the cup he offered. "Returning to your former life?" He considered her question with the thoughtfulness that had developed during their months together. "It wasn't a return," he finally answered. "The man who walked into that building today isn't the same one who left it." Isabella nodded, understanding the transformation that extended far beyond physical recovery. "My grandmother said true healing changes not just the body, but the soul." "Your grandmother," he replied with a slight smile, "was extraordinarily wise." Within weeks of his return, employees noted profound changes in Mr. Pierce's leadership approach. The CEO, once known for driving relentless productivity and marathon work sessions, now implemented policies prioritizing work-life balance. The executive, who had demanded constant connectivity, now restricted after-hours communications. During his first board meeting, he announced a comprehensive benefits expansion including on-site childcare, mental health services, and extended paid leave for family caregivers. "These aren't expenses," he informed skeptical board members. "They're investments in sustainable human capital." The transformation extended beyond internal policies to core business strategy. Mr. Pierce initiated a company-wide audit, examining every product and service through newly developed human impact metrics alongside traditional profitability measures. Projects previously greenlit for their market potential faced rigorous questioning about their actual contribution to user well-being. Technologies designed to maximize engagement regardless of psychological impact were reconsidered. Exploitative data collection practices underwent ethical review. "We've excelled at asking if we could," he told his product development team. "Now we must excel at asking if we should." Philip Markson, the long-serving CFO, confronted him after a particularly transformative strategy session. "The board is concerned about these directional shifts," he warned. "Shareholders expect maximum returns, not philosophical experiments." Mr. Pierce regarded his colleague calmly. "Philip, I literally died and returned. The man who prioritized quarterly profits regardless of human cost no longer exists. The future belongs to companies that enhance lives rather than merely capturing attention and dollars." Even the physical workspace reflected his evolving philosophy. The executive floor, once designed to emphasize hierarchy and power, underwent renovation emphasizing accessibility and collaboration. His corner office, previously an isolated fortress of authority, gained glass walls and community tables. Most notably, Mr. Pierce established regular reverse mentoring sessions where entry-level employees, particularly those from diverse backgrounds, advised senior leadership on overlooked perspectives and opportunities. "The greatest business blindness," he explained when questioned about this practice, "comes from homogeneous viewpoints at decision-making levels." Financial analysts initially warned that these humanitarian-focused changes would undermine Horizon's market position. To everyone's surprise, the opposite occurred. Employee retention improved dramatically, Recruitment of top talent surged as Horizon's reputation for ethical innovation spread. Product quality increased as developers aligned with meaningful purpose rather than mere profit metrics. 6 months after his return, Horizon Technologies reported its strongest quarter in company history, proving that human-centered business could outperform even traditional profit-maximizing approaches. Throughout Mr. Pierce's professional reemergence, his connection with Isabella continued evolving. The official healing sessions concluded as his health stabilized, yet their relationship refused to follow conventional boundaries. Isabella continued her cleaning position, rejecting Mr. Pierce's offers of alternative employment. "I won't accept opportunities others haven't earned," she explained firmly. "My path must remain authentic." He respected her decision while finding creative ways to remain connected. When her shift ended, they often shared tea on the penthouse balcony, discussing everything from corporate strategy to Filipino folklore. Weekend mornings sometimes found them exploring international markets where Isabella introduced him to ingredients from her cultural traditions. Their relationship existed in a unique between space, neither fully professional nor conventionally personal, yet profoundly meaningful to both. Class barriers that would typically prevent such connection dissolved through the intimacy of their shared healing journey. When Isabella's grandmother's condition worsened, requiring specialized care beyond what her village could provide, Mr. Pierce established an anonymous medical fund covering transportation to Manila's best hospital. He presented this not as charity but as reciprocity. "Your grandmother's knowledge saved my life," he said simply. "This isn't generosity, it's balance." Isabella accepted this framing, recognizing his evolution beyond transactional thinking toward genuine reciprocal relationships. Their connection represented something neither had experienced, a partnership transcending social categorization based on mutual recognition of each other's essential humanity. "In my culture," Isabella told him during an evening conversation, "we believe certain souls recognize each other across lifetimes. Perhaps that explains why a billionaire CEO and night cleaner could form such an unlikely bond." He considered this with characteristic thoughtfulness. Western business perspectives would call that irrational, yet my entire recovery defies rational explanation. Their worlds remained largely separate. He attended high-profile business functions, she continued her education and multiple jobs, yet increasingly, these worlds found unexpected intersection points. When Isabella needed research materials for her nursing program, she gained after-hours access to Horizon's medical library. When Mr. Pierce sought insights on holistic wellness initiatives for employees, Isabella connected him with practitioners from immigrant communities typically overlooked by corporate America. "My friends, at this point in our extraordinary story, we witnessed something truly remarkable, the collision of worlds that society insists should remain separate. A healing partnership evolving into something neither participant could have anticipated. If you're finding meaning in this journey of connection across boundaries, please take a moment to support our channel by subscribing. Your engagement allows us to continue bringing these powerful human stories that challenge conventional thinking about success, healing, and authentic relationships. In today's divided world, these narratives of unlikely connection across social barriers carry special importance. They remind us that beneath titles, wealth disparities, and cultural differences lies our shared humanity. By subscribing, you help ensure these stories continue reaching those who need their perspective-shifting messages. 7 months after Mr. Pierce's medical recovery, the carefully maintained separation between their worlds collapsed unexpectedly. A respected medical journal published a case study on his remarkable recovery, prompting renewed media interest in his experience. During a televised interview about his transformed business approach, a journalist asked what sparked his philosophical evolution. "Nearly dying certainly provides perspective," Mr. Pierce replied with characteristic understatement. "But honestly, the most profound insights came through someone who helped me heal when conventional approaches failed." The interviewer leaned forward, sensing a story. "A specialist brought in from abroad?" Mr. Pierce paused, weighing his response. "No, someone much closer, someone whose wisdom modern medicine has largely forgotten." Though he provided no identifying details, the comment triggered speculative investigation. Within days, observant staff noticed patterns, the regular presence of a specific cleaning woman, private elevator access, scheduled accommodations. The corporate rumor mill activated instantly. Executive assistants whispered about late-night meetings. Security personnel noted unusual clearance protocols. The penthouse maintenance logs revealed regular evening visits officially categorized as environmental services but extending beyond normal cleaning durations. Initially, speculation remained internal to Horizon Technologies. Then a paparazzi photographer captured images of Mr. Pierce and Isabella leaving an international market together on a Sunday morning, Her selecting exotic produce, him carrying bags with comfortable familiarity. The photos appeared first on celebrity gossip sites with sensationalized headlines. Billionaire's secret healer, who was the mystery woman behind tech titan's miracle recovery. Mr. Pierce's public relations team mobilized immediately, recommending standard crisis management, denial, distraction, distance. They prepared statements framing any interaction as routine employer-employee contact. To their shock, Mr. Pierce rejected their strategy entirely. "I won't deny or diminish what happened," he informed them. "Isabella Reyes saved my life when modern medicine couldn't. Our ongoing friendship is neither scandalous nor apologetic." This response, honest but unprecedented for a public figure of his stature, left his communications team scrambling. Corporate leaders typically avoided acknowledging personal relationships with employees, particularly those from vastly different social positions. Isabella faced her own challenges as media attention intensified. Fellow cleaning staff alternated between supportive curiosity and jealous speculation. Her nursing program classmates questioned whether her academic achievements reflected actual knowledge or powerful connections. "People will always create stories that fit their understanding," she told Mr. Pierce during a particularly intrusive week. "We know our truth." Her calm acceptance of public scrutiny impressed him, another example of the quiet dignity that had initially drawn him to her healing presence. The public and professional response to their revealed connection followed predictable patterns of judgment based on existing biases. Business publications framed the relationship through cynical lenses. The Wall Street Journal questioned whether alternative healing practices reflected sound judgment from a CEO responsible for billions in shareholder value. Bloomberg raised governance concerns about unusual relationships with service personnel. Financial analysts speculated about emotional decision-making influencing company strategy. Social media commentary proved equally divided. Some celebrated the human interest aspect, billionaires saved by humble healers with traditional knowledge. Others constructed narratives of calculated advantage, ambitious immigrants targeting vulnerable wealthy men. Memes and jokes proliferated, reducing complex human connection to simplified stereotypes. Within Horizon Technologies, reactions split along hierarchical lines. Board members and senior executives expressed concerns about appearances and market perception. Middle managers remained cautiously neutral, avoiding positions that might impact career advancement. Frontline employees, particularly those from immigrant backgrounds, often expressed quiet support for a relationship that challenged traditional power dynamics. Through it all, Mr. Pierce maintained unusual public transparency. When directly questioned about Isabella during a business conference, he responded with disarming honesty. When modern medicine abandoned hope, Isabella offered alternatives based on traditional knowledge. Her approach succeeded where conventional treatments failed. Our ongoing connection reflects mutual respect and shared values. Nothing more or less. Isabella maintained equal dignity when confronted by suddenly interested colleagues. To intrusive questions, she replied simply, "I provided treatments my grandmother taught me." Mr. Pierce recovered. "We discovered a connection through that experience." Their refusal to be defensive or apologetic gradually shifted the public narrative. The absence of scandal, despite intensive media investigation, left gossip outlets without fuel. Their continued separate professional lives, he led Horizon's transformation, she pursued nursing education while working, undermined exploitation narratives. Most significantly, their dignified response highlighted something rarely visible in public discourse: authentic human connection transcending social barriers without ulterior motives or power dynamics. For those paying attention, their relationship represented something both ancient and revolutionary: recognition of shared humanity across artificial divisions of class, culture, and status. The same recognition that had enabled healing to occur when medical science reached its limits. As media interest gradually subsided without discovering the expected scandal, Mr. Pierce and Isabella continued navigating their unique connection, neither conforming to conventional expectations nor retreating from authentic engagement. The real test, however, would come from within their closest professional and personal circles, those with direct influence over their respective worlds and the power to either support or sabotage a relationship that challenged fundamental social hierarchies. The boardroom of Horizon Technologies had witnessed countless strategic battles over the years, but none quite like the current conflict. 2 months after Mr. Pierce's relationship with Isabella became public knowledge, the quarterly board meeting devolved into thinly veiled confrontation. "The stock has fluctuated unnecessarily due to personal matters becoming public," remarked Eleanor Whitfield, the longest-serving board member. Her perfectly coiffed silver hair and impeccable designer suit projected old money authority. Perception matters in leadership positions. Mr. Pierce maintained composed eye contact. Our stock has increased 17% since my return.
Which specific results concern you, Eleanor?
Philip Markson, the CFO, interjected with practiced diplomacy. It's not current performance causing concern, but potential future impact. Major clients have inquired about the stability of leadership, meaning they've inquired about my personal life, Mr. Pierce clarified. Some institutional investors have expressed reservations about possible distractions, another board member added. Mr. Pierce scanned the faces around the table, individuals he'd known for years who suddenly viewed him as unpredictable. I nearly died. I returned with clarity about what matters. If that perspective threatens anyone, perhaps we should discuss the actual values guiding this company. The challenges extended beyond corporate governance into social circles. At the annual charity gala benefiting the city's Medical Research Foundation, Mr. Pierce attended without the expected socialite companion from his pre-illness days. Instead, he arrived alone, interacting with genuine interest rather than obligatory small talk. Victoria Chambers, whose husband headed the banking division that managed Horizon's assets, cornered him by the champagne fountain. "We've missed you at the club," she said, pearl necklace gleaming under crystal chandeliers. "There's a lovely new executive from Meridian Financial everyone's been wanting to introduce you to." "I appreciate the thought," he replied with practiced politeness. "It would do you good to reconnect with your proper circle," she continued, lowering her voice. "These temporary situations can be managed discreetly. Harrison's firm specializes in such arrangements." The implication was unmistakable. Professional fixers who made potentially embarrassing relationships disappear through financial settlements. Mr. Pierce's expression remained pleasant while his eyes cooled. "Victoria, I survived a condition medical science couldn't cure. That experience clarified which circles truly matter." He excused himself, leaving her clutching her champagne glass, bewildered by a man who no longer followed predictable patterns of their class. The media landscape transformed their story according to each outlet's perspective and audience. Business publications examined potential corporate governance implications. Medical journals debated alternative healing efficacy. Celebrity magazines constructed romantic narratives. Tech blogs analyzed implications for Horizon's innovation culture. A financial news channel dedicated an entire segment to analyzing whether emotional decision-making might impact Horizon's market position. The host introduced a panel of experts to discuss the Pierce situation as though it were a corporate crisis rather than a human connection. Historical patterns show that personal entanglements often precede strategic missteps, claimed one silver-haired analyst. The board should implement oversight safeguards. A psychology professor provided counterpoint. Near-death experiences frequently trigger value reassessment. Mr. Pierce's management evolution shows coherent integration of new priorities rather than emotional reactivity. Social media platforms amplified the story through their own distorting lenses. Some users celebrated a perceived fairy tale narrative, humble healer saving dying billionaire. Others constructed cynical interpretations about calculated advantage. Memes and video essays proliferated, reducing complex human experience to simplified entertainment. Isabella faced unwanted attention in previously anonymous spaces. Her fellow students suddenly discovered intense interest in friendship. Strangers recognized her at bus stops and grocery stores. A tabloid offered substantial payment for her side of the story. She declined all interviews with the same gentle firmness that characterized her healing work. "Privacy isn't something you sell," she explained to a persistent reporter who tracked her to the community college campus. Mr. Pierce similarly refused to feed the media cycle, limiting public comments to one consistent message. Traditional healing methods succeeded where conventional approaches failed. My ongoing relationship with MS Reyes reflects mutual respect earned through that experience. Their measured response gradually reduced media oxygen. Without conflict, denial, or sensational revelations, the story lost momentum in rapid-cycle news environments. Coverage gradually shifted toward Horizon's business transformation and innovative human-centered initiatives, subjects Mr. Pierce willingly discussed. Public fascination remained, but increasingly focused on substantive aspects rather than speculative gossip. How had traditional healing succeeded where modern medicine failed? What changes in corporate philosophy might other CEOs adopt? Could ancient wisdom complement technological innovation? These questions, unlike relationship speculation, contributed meaningfully to public discourse, exactly the conversation Mr. Pierce believed worth having. Throughout the media attention and corporate drama, Isabella maintained an unwavering focus on her educational goals. Her nursing program required clinical rotations, laboratory hours, and comprehensive examinations. commitments that demanded rigorous attention regardless of outside distractions. Her classmates' attitudes evolved through several phases: initial curiosity, brief celebrity fascination, and eventually normalized respect, as her consistent performance demonstrated genuine capability rather than privileged advancement. "People expected me to drop out once my connection to Mr. Pierce became known," she told her academic advisor during a semester review. "They assumed I no longer needed education since I knew a wealthy man. And yet you're maintaining a 3.9 gigapascals while working and managing public attention," her advisor noted. "That speaks to genuine commitment." Isabella approached her studies with the same methodical dedication she applied to healing work. Her clinical evaluations consistently highlighted her unique combination of technical proficiency and holistic patient awareness, a balance many healthcare professionals struggle to achieve. One supervising nurse observed, "Most students either focus exclusively on medical data or rely too heavily on bedside manner. Isabella integrates both seamlessly, checking vital signs while simultaneously assessing the whole person." Her final research project synthesized traditional healing practices with evidence-based nursing protocols, creating an integrative framework for cross-cultural patient care. The presentation earned recognition from faculty who had initially viewed alternative approaches with skepticism. Ms. Reyes has demonstrated rigorous methodology in evaluating traditional practices against clinical outcomes, her department chair acknowledged. "This represents exactly the kind of bridge-building healthcare needs." When Isabella's grandmother's condition stabilized enough for video communication, their tearful conversations celebrated educational milestones that fulfilled multi-generational dreams. "You carry our knowledge into their world," her grandmother said in Tagalog. "This is what I prayed for. Not that you would abandon our ways for theirs, but that you would help them see value in both." The graduation ceremony arrived with minimal fanfare by Isabella's preference. She requested no special acknowledgement, choosing to cross the stage like any other student, the accomplishment itself providing sufficient satisfaction. Mr. Pierce respected her wishes, attending without entourage or attention-drawing gestures. He sat among parents and family members, his presence notable for its normality rather than exception. When her name was called, his applause joined the general audience, one supporter among many celebrating achievement earned through genuine merit rather than connection or privilege. The challenges they faced required developing navigation strategies that neither denied their connection nor allowed it to dominate their individual identities. Together, they established principles for managing a relationship that defied conventional categorization. "Authenticity without defensiveness," Mr. Pierce proposed during an evening conversation on his balcony. "We acknowledge reality without justifying it to anyone." Isabella nodded. "And separate accomplishment from association. What I achieve must remain my own." This framework guided their responses to various obstacles. When Isabella's nursing program director suggested fast-tracking her graduation with reduced clinical hours, an obvious accommodation based on her connection to a major hospital donor, she firmly declined. "I'll complete the same requirements as every student," she insisted. "My patients deserve a fully qualified nurse, not someone who receives special treatment." Similarly, when the Horizon Board suggested Mr. Pierce clarify the professional nature of their relationship through carefully worded press statements, he refused manufactured narratives. "Our connection began through healing work and evolved naturally," he told them. "I won't recharacterize it to soothe market anxieties. They established practical boundaries that respected both their connection and their independent paths." Isabella continued her modest apartment rather than accepting offers to relocate closer to his residence. Mr. Pierce maintained professional focus during business hours, while creating meaningful space for their relationship outside work contexts. Most importantly, they remained committed to mutual growth rather than accommodation or compromise. Isabella challenged his lingering blind spots regarding privilege. He supported her ambitions without imposing accelerated timelines or financial shortcuts. "In my village," she explained during a particularly difficult week of public scrutiny, elders taught that storms reveal the strength of roots. Trees that bend but maintain their foundation survive while rigid ones break. This wisdom guided their approach, flexible in response to external pressure while maintaining core integrity. They adjusted public appearances without hiding. They acknowledged criticism without internalizing it. They continued individual paths while nurturing shared connection. Their navigation strategy gradually transformed obstacles into opportunities. Corporate resistance drove clarification of values-based leadership. Media scrutiny created platforms for discussing integrative healing approaches. Social judgment highlighted prejudices that limited human connection across arbitrary boundaries. By meeting challenges with dignity rather than defensiveness, they shifted the narrative from scandal to substance, exactly the transformation both believed essential in their respective fields. 1 year after his medical recovery, Mr. Pierce stood at the window of his office, watching the evening descend over the city. The Horizon Tower's 87th floor offered the same panoramic view he had commanded for years, yet his perception had fundamentally transformed. Before illness, such moments served merely as brief interludes between productive activities, chances to strategize about market positioning or competitive advantage. Now, the quiet observation held inherent value, connection to the present moment rather than merely preparation for future accomplishment. His executive assistant interrupted with a reminder about the hospital board meeting where he now served alongside traditional healthcare leaders. "The helicopter is ready whenever you are," she informed him. He nodded, gathering materials for the presentation on integrating complementary healing practices into standard protocols, an initiative funded through his personal foundation. As the helicopter lifted above the city, Mr. Pierce reflected on the transformation of his daily experience. Before illness, each activity carried implied measurement, how it advanced corporate goals, enhanced market position, or increased personal status. Now, endeavors are aligned with deeper purpose, improving human well-being, bridging divided knowledge systems, creating technology that enhances rather than exploited human experience. The shift wasn't merely philosophical but visceral. Physical sensations had intensified. Food carried richer flavor, music evoked stronger emotion, natural beauty prompted genuine awe. Connections with others moved beyond transactional exchange to meaningful engagement. Most significantly, happiness no longer required external validation or achievement milestones. The fundamental experience of being alive, something he'd nearly lost permanently, provided baseline joy that neither success could significantly increase nor setbacks diminish. At the hospital meeting, he presented research supporting integration of traditional practices alongside modern treatments, the same approach that saved his life. Watching skeptical physicians engage with traditional healers in productive dialogue, he recognized a pattern repeated throughout his recovery journey. True purpose emerged not from acquiring or achieving, but from connecting, bridging artificial divisions between knowledge systems, between social classes, between separated aspects of human experience. The realization crystallized during his drive home. Genuine happiness resided not in the exceptional, but in the fundamental. Health that enabled experience, relationships that provided meaning, and purpose that transcended personal gain. His phone buzzed with a message from Isabella. "Dinner at my grandmother's favorite restaurant. She's teaching the chef-proper lumpia technique and insists you attend the lesson." Mr. Pierce smiled, replying immediately in the affirmative. The evening ahead, learning traditional cooking techniques from an elder who had never attended formal school yet carried generations of wisdom, represented exactly the connection across artificial boundaries that now defined his understanding of true wealth. The man who once measured life through acquisition and achievement now recognized an essential truth: meaningful purpose and authentic happiness emerged not from separation and superiority, but from connection and contribution. On the anniversary of the day doctors had abandoned hope for Mr. Pierce's recovery, he invited Isabella to the botanical gardens, where she often gathered medicinal herbs for her grandmother's remedies. The early morning hour meant they had the medicinal plants section nearly to themselves, just as he had arranged. Isabella moved with practiced familiarity among the specimens, pointing out varieties she recognized from her childhood. "This one," she said, indicating a flowering herb with delicate purple blossoms, "my grandmother used for heart ailments." "I have a heart condition only you can cure," Mr. Pierce replied, stopping beneath a flowering tree. Isabella turned, medical concern immediately visible. "What's wrong? Are you feeling symptoms again?" He smiled, taking both her hands in his. "I've been thinking about what you taught me, that true wealth exists in what we carry inside ourselves. Before you I possessed everything yet owned nothing of real value. My life overflowed with objects but lacked meaning." Understanding dawned in her expression as he lowered himself to one knee, disregarding the immaculate suit now touching garden soil. "Isabella Reyes, you healed my body with your hands and my soul with your heart. Would you do me the honor of becoming my wife?" From his pocket, he produced not a flashy diamond, but a simple band inlaid with herbs from her village, preserved in clear resin and set in precious metal. The design incorporated plants significant in her grandmother's healing tradition, creating a physical manifestation of her heritage. Isabella's eyes filled with tears as she recognized specific leaves and flowers, ingredients from the very remedies that had saved his life. "Before you answer," he continued, maintaining his kneeling position. I need you to know something important. I've restructured my assets. Half of everything I own has been placed in a foundation focused on integrating traditional healing methods with modern medicine. You would be an equal partner in all ways, financially, professionally, personally. The arrangement reflected his understanding of her deep commitment to independence and dignity, ensuring their relationship would exist on level ground despite vast differences in original circumstances. Isabella laughed softly through her tears. You think I care about your money? No, he replied with complete certainty. That's precisely why I love you. But I care deeply about your dignity and independence. She extended her hand, helping him to his feet. Yes, I will marry you. Not because of what you own or what you've done, but because of who you are when no one is watching. Their embrace sealed a commitment that transcended conventional categories, healer and patient, employee and employer, immigrant and citizen. In that quiet botanical sanctuary, surrounded by plants that had facilitated both physical healing and relationship growth, they chose a shared path forward. Planning a wedding that honored both their worlds required thoughtful navigation of cultural traditions, family expectations, and public interest. Isabella insisted on maintaining elements from her Filipino heritage while embracing aspects of American customs that felt authentic rather than obligatory. My village celebrates marriage as community commitment, not just couple connection, she explained during early discussions. Everyone contributes something: food, music, blessings. Mr. Pierce embraced this community-centered approach, appreciating its contrast to the transactional nature of high society weddings he had previously attended. Together they developed a ceremony incorporating meaningful elements from both backgrounds while discarding empty formalities. Her grandmother, whose health had stabilized enough for travel, arrived 3 weeks before the ceremony. The elderly healer's presence transformed wedding preparations, bringing authentic cultural guidance and family connection that Instagram-perfect wedding planners could never provide. A marriage begins before the ceremony, she told them in Tagalog, with Isabella translating. The preparation itself must contain the values you wish to carry forward. Following this wisdom, they involved both worlds in meaningful ways. Horizon employees helped prepare traditional Filipino decorations. Isabella's nursing school classmates learned ceremonial songs. Corporate executives and cleaning staff worked side by side arranging community celebration aspects. Media interest intensified as wedding details emerged, but the couple maintained privacy around core elements. Their experience navigating previous public attention provided valuable practice in determining which aspects to share and which to protect. The guest list reflected their commitment to authentic connection rather than social obligation or business advantage. Isabella's fellow immigrants and nursing colleagues received the same careful consideration as corporate board members and business associates. Her family members traveling from the Philippines were provided comfortable accommodations without ostentatious luxury that might create discomfort. Most significantly, they established a new foundation for equitable partnership through careful financial and legal arrangements. Mr. Pierce transferred significant assets into Isabella's name prior to marriage, not as prenuptial protection but as structural recognition of equal standing despite different starting positions. My grandmother taught me that balance must exist in all relationships, Isabella explained when he presented these arrangements. This creates harmony between our worlds. The media portrayed these decisions as either calculated business moves or romantic gestures, missing the deeper significance. Two people deliberately constructing relationship infrastructure that honored both individual dignity and shared commitment. As the wedding date approached, what began as a potential social scandal had evolved into something unexpected. A public example of authentic connection bridging divisions normally considered impassable in American society. The wedding venue balanced accessibility and meaning, a botanical garden pavilion offering natural beauty without excessive formality. Flowering medicinal plants from both American and Filipino traditions lined the aisle, their healing properties symbolizing the relationship's foundation. Isabella chose to honor both cultures in her appearance. Her gown incorporated traditional Filipino fabric, hand-woven by artisans from her village, while its contemporary design reflected her American education and career. Instead of expensive jewelry, she wore her grandmother's healing amulet, a simple cloth pouch containing sacred herbs that had adorned generations of family healers. Mr. Pierce similarly balanced traditions. His suit, while expertly tailored, featured subtle embroidery incorporating patterns from Isabella's cultural heritage. The boutonniere contained herbs from the very first healing treatment she had provided during his illness. As guests arrived, the typical wedding segregation, bride's side and groom's side, was deliberately absent. Corporate executives sat beside hospital janitors. Isabella's nursing instructors mingled with venture capitalists. Filipino relatives conversed with American business associates through volunteer translators, discovering unexpected common ground. The ceremony began with Isabella's grandmother leading a traditional blessing in Tagalog, followed by equivalents from several other cultural traditions represented among their friends. This multicultural invocation established the event's inclusive foundation and honored the diverse wisdom traditions that had facilitated their connection. When Isabella walked down the aisle, she was accompanied not by a single father figure, but by representatives from key aspects of her journey: her elderly aunt from the Philippines, a fellow immigrant who had helped her first settle in America, her nursing program mentor, and a colleague from her cleaning job. Their vows, written together during quiet evenings in Isabella's modest apartment rather than the penthouse, reflected their unique path. Mr. Pierce spoke phrases in carefully practiced Tagalog alongside English promises. Isabella incorporated both traditional commitments and forward-looking intentions regarding their shared mission. Success is measured not by what we accumulate, but by what we contribute, Mr. Pierce stated in his vows. Love is measured not by what we receive, but by what we give. Isabella taught me that the most important investment we make is in the hearts of others. Isabella's vows carried equal depth. In my culture, we believe everything contains its opposite. Strength exists in vulnerability, wisdom in humility, and healing in brokenness. You came to me broken, and in healing you, I found myself. I promise to always remember that we are both healers, and both in need of healing. The exchange of rings included the herb-inlaid band he had presented during his proposal, and a corresponding ring for him containing materials from her healing practice, preserved alongside precious metals. As they were pronounced married, musicians from Isabella's community performed alongside a string quartet, creating a harmonious blend of cultural sounds that symbolized their unified yet diverse path forward. The reception following their wedding doubled as the official launch of the Horizon Foundation for Integrative Medicine, an organization established to bridge traditional healing knowledge with modern medical science. The foundation's mission directly reflected the journey that had brought them together. Today we celebrate not just our marriage, but the birth of an organization dedicated to honoring wisdom from all sources, Mr. Pierce announced to assembled guests. Traditional healing knowledge saved my life when conventional approaches failed. This foundation will ensure such wisdom reaches those who need it most. The foundation's structure reflected their shared values. Isabella served as Director of Traditional Knowledge Integration, bringing her unique combination of village healing traditions and formal nursing education. Pierce contributed business expertise as chairman while assembling a diverse board, including medical professionals, traditional healers, and community representatives. Initial projects demonstrated the foundation's innovative approach. A rural clinic program paired conventional doctors with traditional healers, creating collaborative treatment models that respected both knowledge systems. Research grants funded scientific studies of traditional remedies, documenting efficacy through methodologies acceptable to medical establishment. Educational initiatives brought traditional healers to medical schools as guest lecturers while sending medical students to learn from community healing practitioners. Most significantly, the foundation established an international database documenting traditional healing knowledge from indigenous and immigrant communities, preserving practices that might otherwise disappear as elders passed without transmitting their wisdom. My friends, as we near the conclusion of this remarkable journey, I hope you've recognized the profound lessons embedded in this true story. In a world that often values credentials over wisdom and wealth over authentic connection, this couple's experience reminds us that healing, whether of bodies, relationships, or communities, comes through integration rather than division. If their story has touched something in your own life or shifted your perspective on what constitutes true value, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support enables us to continue sharing these powerful narratives that challenge conventional thinking and inspire meaningful change. By joining our community, you help ensure these stories of courage, wisdom, and authentic connection reach those who might otherwise never encounter such perspective-shifting accounts. Hit that subscribe button now and become part of preserving and sharing the wisdom our modern world desperately needs. The years following their wedding brought both expected challenges and unexpected opportunities. Their relationship continued evolving beyond its unusual beginning into genuine partnership balancing individual purpose with shared mission. Isabella completed advanced nursing certification while maintaining connection to traditional practices. The unique integrative approach she developed, combining evidence-based protocols with traditional wisdom, gradually gained recognition in medical circles initially skeptical of complementary methods. Mr. Pierce guided Horizon Technologies through transformation into an industry leader in ethical innovation and human-centered design. The company's products increasingly served human well-being rather than merely capturing attention or maximizing engagement. a shift that proved remarkably successful in both market performance and social impact. Together, they balanced private contentment with public responsibility. Weekends often found them in a modest beach house, reminiscent of Isabella's childhood home, where Mr. Pierce learned traditional fishing methods and cooking techniques while disconnecting from digital demands. These simple experiences, preparing meals together, walking shorelines, conversing without schedules, provided necessary counterbalance to their professional commitments. Their story gradually spread beyond tabloid curiosity to become something more meaningful, a modern parable about recognizing wisdom in unexpected places. Medical schools incorporated their experience into ethics discussions. Business programs analyzed Horizon's transformation as a case study in values-driven leadership. Social commentators cited their relationship as an example of authentic connection transcending artificial barriers. "Do you ever miss your old life?" Isabella asked during a quiet evening on their beach house porch, the question revisiting a conversation from early in their relationship. Mr. Pierce thought thoughtfully. "I miss nothing about who I was. That man was dying long before his body began to fail. And now?" she prompted. He squeezed her hand gently. "Now I understand what my grandfather tried to tell me before he died," he said. "A person's worth isn't in their wallet but in their heart." I was too ambitious to listen then. Isabella rested her head against his shoulder. "Sometimes we need to lose everything to find what matters." Their journey embodied essential lessons rarely acknowledged in success-oriented cultures, that true healing extends beyond physical recovery to spiritual renewal. That wisdom often emerges from unexpected sources. That vulnerability requires greater courage than strength. That love, when authentic, doesn't recognize boundaries of class, culture, or circumstance. It perceives only the person beneath labels and limitations. In a world increasingly divided by status and wealth, their path stands as testament to the revolutionary power of compassion, the unexpected wisdom found in humility, and the healing that happens when we are brave enough to see each other as we truly are. Their continuing story reminds us that sometimes the most qualified person to save a life isn't the one with the most impressive credentials, but the one with the most authentic connection to healing wisdom. That sometimes the wealthiest person isn't the one with the largest fortune, but the one with the richest understanding of what truly matters. And that sometimes the most unlikely connections create the most meaningful transformations. 5 years after their wedding, Nathaniel and Isabella Pierce stood together on the stage of an international medical conference. He in a simple suit without flashy accessories, she in professional attire that incorporated subtle elements of her cultural heritage. The audience before them represented a remarkable cross-section of healthcare, renowned physicians alongside traditional healers, research scientists beside community practitioners, medical students next to indigenous wisdom keepers. "We gather today not to choose between knowledge systems, but to honor the wisdom in each," Nathaniel began, his voice carrying the quiet confidence of someone who had journeyed from arrogance to genuine humility. "My presence on this stage exists only because someone dared to offer healing outside approved channels when approved channels had failed." Isabella stepped forward, comfortable now in settings that once would have intimidated her. "Integration doesn't mean absorption or dilution," she clarified. "It means creating space where different approaches can complement rather than compete with each other." Their presentation detailed outcomes from 5 years of Horizon Foundation initiatives, clinical results from integrative treatment centers, research findings validating traditional methodologies, and educational programs bridging cultural healing traditions. Data points and personal stories wove together, demonstrating measurable impacts alongside meaningful human connections. The conference represented just one aspect of their ongoing journey. Beyond professional advocacy, their personal life had developed its own beautiful rhythm, balancing Isabella's continuing nursing practice with Nathaniel's redefined corporate leadership, creating space for her family traditions alongside navigation of his business responsibilities. Weekday mornings often found them sharing tea on their balcony before parting for separate work environments, she to the community clinic, where she combined nursing expertise with traditional approaches, he to corporate headquarters where human-centered values now guided technological innovation. Their home life balanced two worlds, a modest primary residence in a middle-class neighborhood where community connection flourished alongside a smaller penthouse apartment maintained for business necessities. Holiday celebrations alternated between Filipino traditions and American customs, creating a unique family culture honoring both backgrounds. Most significantly, their relationship continued evolving beyond its unusual beginning. The initial dynamic of healer and patient had matured into genuine partnership, where each supported the other's growth while maintaining individual identity. She pursued advanced credentials in integrative medicine without abandoning traditional wisdom. He expanded business innovation while remaining grounded in authentic human values. Together, they navigated ongoing challenges with the same thoughtful dignity that had characterized their early relationship. Media interest occasionally resurged when major foundation initiatives launched or when Horizon Technologies introduced particularly innovative human-centered products. Corporate resistance periodically re-emerged when quarterly pressures tempted reversion to purely profit-driven decisions. Through it all, they maintained core commitments established during their healing journey, prioritizing authentic connection over social expectation, valuing wisdom regardless of its source, and recognizing that meaningful contribution rather than material accumulation creates lasting fulfillment. The ripple effects of their journey extended far beyond personal transformation. Their experience catalyzed tangible changes across multiple domains: medical practice, corporate culture, social perception, and community empowerment. Within healthcare systems, the Horizon Foundation's work gradually shifted entrenched perspectives. Hospitals that initially rejected alternative approaches began incorporating selected traditional practices into standard protocols after reviewing research data. Medical schools added integrative components to curricula, inviting traditional healers as legitimate educators rather than curiosities. The evidence became too compelling to ignore, admitted Dr. Winters during a Foundation symposium. When patient outcomes consistently improve through integrated approaches, medical ethics demands we reconsider our resistance. In corporate environments, Horizon Technologies' remarkable success under Nathaniel's transformed leadership challenged conventional business wisdom. The company's human-centered initiatives, from ethical data practices to employee well-being programs, demonstrated that prioritizing people alongside profit created sustainable advantage rather than competitive weakness. Business publications that initially criticized his philosophical experiments gradually shifted toward analyzing his methods as innovative strategy, rather than idealistic distraction. Harvard Business School developed a case study examining how values-driven leadership translated to market leadership, using Horizon as the primary example. Most significantly, their story inspired individuals facing their own seemingly insurmountable boundaries. A corporate executive with terminal diagnosis sought traditional healing knowledge alongside conventional treatment. A talented immigrant who hesitated to share cultural wisdom gained new courage to contribute a unique perspective. A wealthy individual, questioning life's meaning, found renewed purpose through authentic connection across social divisions. "Your experience showed me possibilities I couldn't previously imagine," wrote one young woman from the Philippines in a letter to Isabella. "I'm pursuing medical education while maintaining my grandmother's healing traditions, something I previously thought impossible." Such personal impacts, though less measurable than clinical outcomes or market performance, represented the most meaningful legacy of their journey, expanding what people believe possible about connection across boundaries, integration of knowledge systems, and authentic partnership despite social divisions. During a private foundation event celebrating its 5th anniversary, Nathaniel addressed a small gathering of supporters with unexpected candor about the deeper lessons from his experience. "I built my career identifying valuable innovations," he began, "yet completely missed the most valuable wisdom available, knowledge carried by people I literally didn't see. The cleaning staff member I passed without noticing carried healing traditions that saved my life when cutting-edge medicine could not. Our culture suffers from dangerous misperception," he continued. "We confuse credentials with competence, wealth with worth, and social position with actual value. These misperceptions don't just harm individuals. They deprive society of essential wisdom carried by those we've been conditioned to overlook." Isabella joined him, adding her perspective. "In my village, elders taught that wisdom appears in unexpected forms to test whether we're paying attention. The question isn't whether valuable knowledge exists around us, but whether we have eyes humble enough to recognize it regardless of its packaging." Their experience illuminated fundamental truths often obscured by modern society's hierarchical structures: that wisdom doesn't correlate with wealth or status, that healing encompasses dimensions beyond physical recovery, that authentic connection requires setting aside preconceptions about who holds value. Most importantly, their journey demonstrated how transcending artificial boundaries, whether between healing traditions, social classes, or cultural backgrounds, creates possibility for transformation beyond what either world could offer alone. "The most powerful innovation isn't technological but relational," Nathaniel often remarked during corporate presentations. "When we connect knowledge systems that have been artificially separated, breakthrough becomes possible." This perspective increasingly resonated in a world facing complex challenges requiring integrated approaches rather than siloed expertise. Climate solutions benefited from indigenous knowledge alongside scientific research. Educational reform found success incorporating diverse cultural learning methods. Community health improved through combined traditional prevention and modern intervention. Their experience offered living testimony that moving beyond surface appearances, whether in healthcare, business leadership, or human relationship, unlocks possibilities otherwise unattainable. My friends, as we conclude this extraordinary journey, I invite you to consider where wisdom might be waiting unrecognized in your own life. Perhaps in the immigrant neighbor whose cultural traditions seem foreign yet contain healing insights. Perhaps in the service worker whose humble position obscures profound understanding. Perhaps in knowledge systems your education taught you to dismiss. The remarkable story of Nathaniel and Isabella Pierce reminds us that transformation often begins when we're humble enough to recognize value in unexpected places. When life strips away our certainties, whether through illness, loss, or challenge, we sometimes discover that the most profound wisdom exists precisely where we've been conditioned not to look. Their journey asks essential questions of each of us. Whose knowledge do we automatically value? Whose insights do we routinely dismiss? What healing possibilities might we access by expanding our definition of expertise beyond conventional credentials? In every community, wisdom keepers exist whose knowledge doesn't arrive in recognizable packaging. The elderly neighbor whose life experience offers perspective no university provides. The maintenance worker whose practical problem-solving surpasses theoretical expertise. The immigrant parent whose cultural traditions contain generations of tested wisdom. This story challenges us to recognize that true value isn't determined by social position or economic status. That essential knowledge isn't limited to those with prestigious credentials. That healing, whether of bodies, relationships, or communities, often comes through unexpected sources when we're humble enough to receive it. I encourage you to carry this perspective into your own life. Notice who you overlook. Question assumptions about who holds valuable knowledge. Consider wisdom traditions outside your familiar frameworks. Remain open to healing insights regardless of their source. If this story has touched something in your heart, if it's challenged your thinking about where wisdom resides or inspired you to recognize value beyond appearances, please take a moment now to subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue sharing these perspective-shifting narratives that remind us of our shared humanity beyond artificial divisions. By joining our storytelling community, you help ensure these important messages reach others who might benefit from their transformative lessons. Each subscription supports our mission of preserving and sharing wisdom that challenges conventional thinking and inspires meaningful connection. Nathaniel and Isabella continue their journey today, still navigating between worlds, still challenging assumptions about knowledge and value, still demonstrating that authentic connection transcends social categories. Their foundation's work expands, supporting integration of wisdom traditions worldwide. Their personal partnership deepens, embodying possibilities when we recognize each other's essential humanity beyond labels and limitations. Their story reminds us that sometimes the greatest healers don't wear white coats. The most valuable insights don't arrive with prestigious credentials. The most meaningful connections don't follow social expectations. And the most profound transformations begin when we have courage to see beyond appearances to the wisdom waiting in unexpected places. Thank you for joining us on this remarkable journey. Until next week, this is Mr. Ross, reminding you that the most extraordinary stories are often found in the most ordinary lives, if we have eyes to truly see them.